Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for Kullu Mu'min and Mu'minat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee do we serve, and Thee do we beseech for help. Keep us on the right path, the path upon the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor those who have gone disarray. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, say He, Allah is one. Allah is He on whom all things depend. He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is nothing like Him. Allah is the true OG. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ala Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ala Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ala I want to send my condolences on Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. I want to send my condolences on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. I want to send my condolences on Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. I want to send my condolences on Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. And I want to send my condolences on our living Imam, Imam Muhammad Mayli, Sahib Zaman alayhi salam. Allah's proof, the master of time. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum on the 7th night of Muharram. So from today on, the members of Imam Hussein's camp in Karbala, they didn't have any more water. They ran out of water and had no access to water. This was the atrocities that the women, the children, the elderly, and the valiant warriors of Karbala would put up with from here until, for a lot of them, their demise. And for a lot more of them, until they were released from the dungeon of Yazid. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. Few announcements today. We're gonna have 20-minute Dwight Westful Tuesday. So tomorrow's program will be a little bit longer because of Dwight Westful, which is totally worth it. Today's program is gonna have Hadith Gisa, followed by our discussion, followed by Messiah and Noham. If anybody ever wants to recite a dua, I know we put some beautiful recitations on from YouTube. We have community members that recite beautifully. We have community members that are learning how to recite. Whichever category you fit in, somewhere in between, send us your video. We will put it on. We'll put it on. If you come record live, we'll definitely put you on. But everyone is welcome to participate in Azadari. That is one thing that at al-Asr we like to provide community members with, is a place to be comfortable in whatever your skill set. If you love reciting Nohas, but you can't carry a tune, it's fine. Come recite over here. I can't carry a tune. I love reciting Nohas. So whatever, however you guys want to do about it, we're here with you. That's one of the major goals that we have, all of us at al-Asr, is whatever brings you closer to the Ahlul Bayt, we'll do it with you. We're right there with you because that's our goal. Get closer to the Ahlul Bayt and become better people waiting for the Imam. That makes sense. I always like to start with purifying my intention. Sometimes it's easier to speak from the heart. And sometimes it's easier. I think sometimes it's nicer to have something that was once from the heart, but now written down on a piece of paper. Try to make it rhyme and sound beautiful to help inspire everybody. This is something that I really named intention. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I am easily distracted by the deceptions of this world. To guide me, to guide all of us, you gave us the gift of the Immaculate 12. But even with the clear, easy path to salvation, my Lord, even with this clear, easy path, I lie to everyone, even myself. There's no reason for me to ever do anything other than to acknowledge your greatness. But even when I pray, quite honestly, it's the prayer of the faithless. My good deeds and acts of worship are aimless. So you provided me with direction. You provided direction to me, the Lady of Light, Sirat al-Mustaqim, the house of Bibi Fatima al-Zahra and Hazrat Ali. For the sake of their blessed house and their family tree, I ask that you improve me. I ask that you bless me, guide me. Please accept me, never reject me or any of my deeds, even though I may do them arrogantly. My Lord, purify me then, me and all of my brethren. Each and every one of our sins must be forgiven. They're the most forgiving. Each and every one of our sins forgiven. Each and one of our acts of worship accepted. Don't do it for us, Ya Allah. Do it for the sake of He who you purified and then perfected. Leave none of our humble gestures rejected. Give me the maximum benefit from each and every deed that can be. Give me more than I expected, even though they are but small tokens of my affection to your lofty position that you are alone in. What more can a poor man offer from his destitute situation? You are the king, the master, the owner, the creator of all things. And then there's me, who without your generosity has nothing, is nothing, except my prayers in remembrance of you. I testify that you are one and you are never two. That Hazrat Ali is the only path that is true. And that's your greatness. And my love for those who you love are my intentions for everything that I do. Please make my prayers and this pure intention true. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jufar. Please recite the Surah Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. MashaAllah. Bismillah. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jufar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jufar. And now I want to introduce something very important. I want to introduce something life-changing. I want to introduce the cheat code to all of existence. I want to introduce the story of the cloak. It was sourced by the light, for it was she who spoke about a house most blessed and purified above any other, the house of Rasulat, the house of the mother. The prophet, he felt a weakness in his body. He told the father's mother, Allah, she said, is the only healer. There is no other. Then with the Yemeni over him, she would cover, where Abul Qasim sat next to himself and sat next to his brother. And then inside the cloak came a light, bright enough to illuminate all sight, born from density, created from the highest intensity. In came the mother. May Allah send blessings on none other than Muhammad's family. For all eternity, may he quickly return my living Imam to me. All five inside a single Yemeni. Angels were huddled tight on that night. They were inside paradise, stretching as far as the light could see, but they would never be as pure as the 2 + 3. A cloak like no other, a Yemeni, a comforter. sitting with his family tree, a perfect circle with immaculate company, God's love and his progeny. Their flesh is his flesh, blood is his blood. If you were at war with them, he said, you were at war with me. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family for all eternity. May he quickly return my living Imam to me. Hazrat Jibreel, he saw them run fives and he asked the Lord, he asked Allah if he could run 3 on 3. Allah said, fly from Iliyin down to earth and deliver this message of purity. The 6th man among the 5 you were allowed to be. Assembled was the greatest team in history, the house of the light of Imamat, Ibadat, and of prophecy. What was this? Who was under that cloak? The angels asked, and Allah said, this is the house of Fatima Tadara, her father Muhammad, her husband, Hazrat Ali, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. They were the children of the lion and the light, masters of the youth of paradise. We're talking about Al-Mujtaba and the king of the Shaheed. They were the sons of Qamar Bani Hashim, her progeny, the greatest angel, and immaculate 5, most beloved to ever be alive, the purest house the world will ever see. For the sun, the moon, the rotating cosmos, the sailing ships, all inventions, all creations were created for no other than thee. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family for all eternity. May he quickly return my living Imam to me. Now that we, the people of earth, now that we, mankind, have spoke of the greatness of the event of the cloak, angels are surrounding you and me. Never again stressed. Are you stressed? Never again stressed, nor oppressed, never sad, nor mad will we ever be. If you have a prayer, he will answer now. Now is the time to implore it on he. Whatever your request, this time is the best. For you and I, in the words of Hazrat Ali, for you and I will achieve success from this moment all the way to Akhirah. Wa Rabbil Kaaba, Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن جابر بن عبد الله أنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني زوفا فقلت له عزك بالله يا أبتاه من الزوف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع له كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدة يا رسول الله أتزن لي ندخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدة السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتزن لنكون معكما تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتزن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتزن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بزأتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ بي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وحاستي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبريل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. فقال جبريل يا رب أتزن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبريل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويكسك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبريل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر حبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وهفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال نبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله هما ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غما ولا طالب حاجة إلا علينا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك عشيتنا، فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل.
For Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, salawat. Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad.
wa ala Muhammad wa jal farij. Please recite a Surah Fatiha. Wa kullu mu'minin wa mu'minat. Sallallahu. Sallallahu.
Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. 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 Qasim just married to Fatma Kubra, had to leave to become Shaheed. Dressed in the abaya and turban of a son, with his weapons touching the floor. His uncle Hussain almost couldn't take any more. His family had been Shaheed. Even his best friend Habib. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. He was riding his steed to battle, fighting the enemies with no hassle. He got off his horse and onto the floor to fix his shoe and fight some more. He was fighting for Hussain, the king of the slain, the true Imam, the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the path to Sirat al-Mustaqim. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. The land of Karbala, his resting place. Age 13 and his shining face. It shined just like a crescent moon. He followed the path that is true. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. He couldn't take any more. He fell off his horse and onto the floor. His uncle Abbas couldn't see him anymore, so he rode to the battlefield to check on Qasim. He frantically rode. The army of Yazid didn't want any more. They tried to scatter and flee, and as they did, they trampled his body. Hi, hi, Qasim, hi, Qasim. 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 Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jal.
Hi, hi, Qasim. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jal farajum. Mu'min mu'minat. Allah sent us poetry. Janab Qasim's grandmother, Bibi Fatima, his cousin, Imam Zain al-Abidin, his nanny, Bibi Fiza, his aunt, Bibi Zainab, they're all poets. His aunt, al-Baneen, his cousins, the sons of Hazrat Abbas, the grandkids of Hazrat Abbas, they're all poets. It's very interesting. It's very important that we exercise the creativity that Allah gave us. And so you're talking about freedom and how we have freedom of creativity. Allah gave us creativity and freedom of creativity for a reason too. And Allah sent us instruction. Instruction in the of what we should do with our creativity, right? He sent us the Quran. He said, look at the beauty in these words. You use your words to do something beautiful, poetic, and creative, just like Allah did when He sent the Quran. And that is why people used to call Bibi Zainab the lady who only spoke in rhymes and poetry. They called Bibi Fatima the lady who spoke in poetry. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jal farajum. MWA, Muslims with attitude. Muslims with Allah. Muslims with attitude. First time I got caught with that. Muslims with Allah. MWA. We're a poetry group that dedicates our creativity and the beauty in words to increasing the world's love for the Allah Bayt. And the youngest member, Asya Zainab, just produced some beautiful poetry about Janabi Qasim. So for Allah salawat for the youngest member of MWA, Muslims with Allah, Muslims with Azan Ali, Muslims with Ali, let's do a loud salawat. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Write your poems, read your poems, draw your pictures, send us your art. We'll display it here at Mehfil al-Asr. We will put it on the program. You can draw a picture. People do these beautiful Zoom art things that have been being sent to us. Oh, really creative. Whatever your art is, we welcome it here. Mehfil al-Asr. And if it is intended to spread the love for the Allah Bayt, be my duty, my honor to display it, show it, describe it, present it, and share it with the world. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahum. Let's recite a Surah Fatiha for the Shaheed Karbala. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahum. Alhamdulillah. Udina aram ta'ala. Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahum. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. He is greater than anything ever created. Anything that's ever existed, well, he made it. He said, be, and it was. Everything out of love. For those who praised him from the moment of inception, he is the answer to all of the questions, the light to guide us, perfection in all that he does, without doing, without moving, no planning, above our understanding. His rules are unbreakable. His power, well, his power is untakeable. Everything is under his dominion. Before him, every ruler is but a minion. Every kingdom pales in comparison, for there is no kingdom except his. His rule is absolute. He is the only truth. His greatness will never be under dispute. Do you understand how great Allah is? No time will ever be created that he will not live. The giver of life, he is the dispeller of strife. He has no husband, no wife. He has no kin. Nothing resembles him. He is one. He is the inventor of the sun. He is the Lord of everything and everyone. Alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah. Allah is the one whom all praise belongs. Did you know that the birds, they praise him with their songs? When your eyes praise the sunrise, who do you think created the dawn? The sunset so beautiful, it was created by the most merciful. Everything Allah does is best. He needs no food. He needs no practice, no rest. His first creation was immaculate. He's the fashioner of all things. Allah is the Lord of the Rings. He is higher than the angels with wings. The universe is so large, yet only glorify he who is actually in charge. Anything you want to revere is created by the one we cannot reach, even though he is near, closer to us than our jugular. The original, the only true OG. Not one single leaf moves on a tree without the might and power of yes, no other than he, the one and only, the definition of Tawheed. The only thing that we will ever need. All praise is due to he, indeed. Nothing is possible without Allah's love. He created the heavens above. You think there could ever be anything greater? Never. Nothing other than his praise will truly give you any pleasure. I can never look at anything and celebrate it without praising he who actually made it, who actually created it. He will never be outdated. He is the only thing uncreated. No words could ever describe his greatness. Even if I were to use every word ever created, his praises would still be understated. All praises due to the creator and never, ever, ever to the created. Subhanallah. All glory be to Allah, the most renowned and honored over any other. Oh Allah, there is no power other than you. Nothing ever does anything you didn't make it do. There is no success other than that of the best of the best. You are the maker. You are the only one who can manifest. You, Allah, are magnificent, a true great beauty. To praise you is our only duty. You are truly just, therefore everything you do is perfection. You are the master of the day of resurrection, the acceptor and the enforcer of intercession. You will never be questioned, nor can you ever be challenged. All of creation, it exists in a fine balance. That is how perfect your plan is. There is no success other than that which you make succeed. You are the giver of everything and more than we need. Without your permission, the entire existence of everything would cease to proceed. Your greatness is to be feared. Your forgiveness and love are required to be revered. There is nothing to me more near, this I confess. You are the best creator of the East and the West. Because you even hear my prayers, I am blessed. You stand beside me when I am distressed. You provide me with hope when I am depressed. Aside from you, no glory nor honor is true. Nothing has ever happened that was not decided and caused by you. There is nothing that is true other than your vantage. Your honor and glory can never be challenged. You have overseen everything since the very beginning of a thing, and nothing has been mismanaged. You are the only true advantage. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. Allah is so great. Allah is so great that Allah created freedom. Allah created freedom and gave it to man and said, be free to do whatever you can. And this we did since the beginning of history. And now look around and see what you could see. What have we done since we are man and we are free? We have polluted the earth. We've enslaved each other. But we have turned to no one and nothing other than He. Because when you are truly in need, when it's your heart that is doing the thinking, you reach out for the one that we cannot see, our Lord up above, the only one that we could love, for He created it. So we could be the ones to spread it all over the earth. Freedom, created love, right? Tawheed, right? Tawheed, Allah is one. Why is that important? To understand the importance of Tawheed, you need to understand the importance of Adalah. Tawheed and Adal go hand in hand, right? See, Allah created freedom, but what's freedom without intelligence? You have to have intelligence to know that you're free. So when Allah created us free, He gave us intelligence so we could have the knowing, to know what to do with this freedom He gave us. We can make the choice that is best for us, right? And then we explored how Allah created us as proof for Him. He created us as proof for Him, but we didn't. He's not the one that decided we praise Him. That was mankind. We decided that when we praised Allah when we knew nothing, when we had nothing, when there was nothing, when we could decide anything you wanted to do. Mankind could have woken up and said, video games. And maybe we'd spend our entire life playing video games, right? Could have done anything. But the intelligence that was blown into us, the spirit that was blown into us, there's only one thing it wanted to do, Allah, and that was praise you, right? First thing mankind did, right? We got our senses, sneezed, praised Allah. That's it. And then you go farther back, right? That's when the earth was created. That's when the world was created. The heavens were created, right? Mankind could have woken up and said, Jupiter, I want to go to Jupiter. But no, alas, mankind woke up and said, Allahu Akbar, praised Allah, thanked Allah, shukr, alhamdulillah, and That is what our destiny was, right? Could have done anything, could have said anything, right? How do we know to praise Allah? We could have known to earth, security, we want security, money, I want wealth, anything. But we wanted the very first instinct, what we wanted, all we wanted, the entire, anything you want is sitting in front of you, my greatest creation. Tell me what you want. And we wanted Allah. And then when creation was created, the very beginning, anything was possible. Now there's not even earth, there's no matter, there's no spiritual realm, there's nothing at all. What do you want to do? Creation. The entire slate is empty and you're going to draw it. What do you want? And all that creation, that light wanted to do was praise you, because you're the only thing that's true. Our Lord, we praise you. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So we have, that is why freedom is not dangerous. That's why Kant is wrong. You're wrong, bro. Freedom is not dangerous. Freedom for some people is dangerous, but freedom in its essence is not dangerous because our most free self will choose Allah. When you take all the other confounded factors, greed, weakness, ignorance, lies, deceit, excuses, jealousy, wanting comedy, entertainment, whatever we desire, when we're not desiring Allah, is actually hindering our own freedom, right? And that's because we're created to praise Allah. That's because we chose in our most natural, comfortable self when we needed any improvement, because we were just fresh off the presses of the hand of Allah. We praised Allah, and that's where we head back to. We talked about how the Masumeen, Allah played out the entire simulation from the beginning of time, like we do the Madden simulation, to see who's going to win the Super Bowl. Allah did a simulation of the entire world, and Allah saw the people who would be most successful in the test, the one that would choose better choices than all of the rest. And he found 14 of the Masumeen that had done everything perfect since anything had ever been seen. And then he restarted all of existence again. But he took the 14 Masumeens and he inserted them as a gift to be our guides and our friend. This is the generosity of our Lord. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. But that was necessary. Why? In the 80s, people liked to smoke their cigarettes. You go back even farther, 70s, 60s. I grew up on I Love Lucy. It wasn't out when I was not that old, right? But it already been out when I was a kid. Reruns I Love Lucy. Not like I wasn't waiting for the new episode. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that. So we watch I Love Lucy, and the classy people are smoking with the cigarette holders. Hello, right? Then you go to the 80s, all the tough guys smoked, all the cops smoked, right? People smoked inside cars. People smoked in their houses. People smoked at work. People smoked inside colleges, right? That was the thing to do. And then people started getting lung cancer and throat cancer and emphysema and heart disease and all this other stuff that, oh my God, surprise, surprise, this is making people sick, right? But they had that reasonable doubt. Well, why would they allow us to smoke these cigarettes if they're getting people sick, right? Philip Morris knew, didn't they? Philip Morris knew, but did they tell you? They told you stuff that was not true. They said, smoke these cigarettes, they're good for you. And what happened? They let everybody choose, right? Well, it was a Joe Camel on TV. Look at me, right? Everyone wanted to be like him, so they started smoking, right? There was a Marlboro Man, right? Smoking. That's all he would do while he would stand, right? And running out of these runs, right? But that's what happened. People smoked in the 80s. And then all of a sudden people started getting sick, and they do research and they're like, hey, people get sick smoking. And they sued Philip Morris. And what happened? Billions and billions of dollars Philip Morris lost. But to put that money back in the pockets of smokers? No. They said, we're going to use this money to educate people to not smoke. So they made commercials. Now the don't smoke commercials are like the coolest commercials because they have so much money to back it. And they probably have subliminal messages to get us to keep smoking, right? That being said, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is this. People smoked, and then they had information that this is bad for you. So now you could choose to have the cigarette, or you could choose to live a productive life, and then not cough after you run up the block and then whatever else smoking causes, right? And people are like, oh, now we can choose. And now in this world of gluten free, lactose free, right? People can choose what they want in their whole foods, right? I don't want this part of food in my whole food. It's half foods, right? And so people get to choose. But we have information. And for that, people are thankful. Why? Because to a free man, information is important. Information, actually, to a free man is what makes freedom not dangerous, right? The checks and balance that Kant talked about. If there's no checks and limitations on freedom, right, then the freedom is dangerous. But freedom is not dangerous at its essence because our freedom will lead us to praise Allah. And if you're praising Allah, you're not offending anybody. You're not violating the rules of the US. You're not violating the rules of your school. You're following the rule of Allah, which means you are doing what's best in every situation, every moment, and everything you do is the right decision, the greatest decision. And Allah doesn't hurt anybody, doesn't, that's why Allah being one, Tawheed, is so important, right? Because if Allah had parts, maybe this one part is forgiving sometimes and this other part is not, or maybe this time Allah will forgive me and next time he won't. This time he likes it and not, next time he doesn't, right? It's not like that. What you know about Allah, you will always know about Allah. But you will never know anything about Allah, will you? Right? You can't know anything about Allah. He's created. Allah is uncreated. He will never be outdated, right? He's always new. Something new for everyone every day. Think about Allah and don't think about something new that Allah is or should be, and Allah actually is if you think he should be every day, right? So what did Allah do? He gave us information. Because to a free man, you give him information, and now freedom's not dangerous, unless with the person and its essence is dangerous, because people who have the essence, right? The essence of not being dangerous, the essence of goodness in them will follow the path to liberation, and free liberation is when you're near Allah. So Allah sent us the guidance of the 14 infallibles, and he isolated these personalities throughout time and space and brought them back, right? They're not just anybody, right? Sirat al-Mustaqim, what does that mean? That means a straight path. Nare hedri, ya Ali. Sirat al-Mustaqim means a straight path, right? Let's walk the straight path. Edena Sirat al-Mustaqim means keep us on the right path, not lead us to the right path. Keep us there. Why? We know where it is. We know where the right path is. It's in the Quran, and it is a story of the cloak, right? Hadith Qissa. Hazrat Ali alayhi salam tells us, he says, I'm the right path. I'm Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? Who is Hazrat Ali? The lion of God. Sirat al-Mustaqim was followed as warrior, the lion of God. You know what Hazrat Ali did more than he did fight wars? He's thought. He was a philosopher. He's a scientist. He spread Islam. He used to walk with his companions, Komel and Cumber, and he would tell them, he'd look at a tree and he pointed and say, you see this tree? Where this tree stands, there's going to be a home that's going to be made of steel, and it's going to reach and pierce into the sky when this tree wilts and withers. And this steel building will have a shield on top of it that will communicate with the other houses. Hazrat Ali used to say this over 1,000 years ago. Hazrat Ali would look at horses and he would tell his companions, Cumber and Komel, he said, see these horses we ride on. One day people are going to ride on steel horses. When they would be near the river, he would tell people that with the water from this river, we could light 100 candles. Hazrat Ali didn't know what electricity was, right? Hazrat Ali didn't know what electricity was. Hazrat Ali's intelligence was greater than his sword, right? Hazrat Ali was the ideal man. You know how we know that, right? See, Hazrat Ibrahim was the friend of Allah, right? How cool is Hazrat Ibrahim, right? He walked on water, right? He flew across and was flying across it and being thrown into the fire, and he was cool. He was like, yeah, whatever. Hazrat Jibril came to ask him, what's your prayer? He said, Allah knows my prayer, right? Cool as a cucumber, right? Hits the ground, bounces up, and walks out. And he didn't leave the town. He's like, oh, y'all just tried to kill me. No, he walked back to the town, said, hey guys, I'm back. What now? Right? Ibrahim was cool guy. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafarajo, was the love of Allah, right? Think of someone you love and their best friend. How do you feel about your best friend? And how about somebody you love's best friend, right? Hazrat Ali was Prophet Muhammad's best friend. He could have chosen anybody, but he chose Hazrat Ali to hang out with, right? Why? Because Hazrat Ali was so intelligent, he could talk to the Prophet. Why did Prophet Muhammad want to hang out with him? Because Hazrat Ali was the funniest, he was the coolest, right? He had the best fit, he was the most stylish, he was the most creative, right? Hazrat Ali was amazing, amazing. Hazrat Ali knew so much. I want to tell you some stories, right? Today, right? Look, justice, Allah is just. If our freedom would lead us to, if there is a most favorable destination that our freedom will lead us to, and Allah separated himself from us, put us on earth, right? Said, I'm creating distance between me and you. And he said, I want you to go make the right decisions, right? I want you to make the right decisions, but I'm going to be way over here and you can't see me. And you think with your mind, but you have to listen to your heart that's beating, right? And sometimes when your heart beats, your mind thinks it's trying to communicate something else, right? So what did Allah say, right? He said that I want you to trust yourself, but beyond that, I'm going to give you guidance, right? I'm going to give you guidance in the form of the Quran and in the form of the 12 infallibles. And he sent the Quran and he said, read this book and look at the words in it. There's no way you could match any lyric within it. There's no way that any word more superior will ever be uttered, except maybe from Hazrat Ali and none other, right? And this was the gift that Prophet Muhammad left to us. He said, I leave you two things, right? They're like a rope to heaven, right? One is the Quran and one is my family, right? And so we have the guidance. And because Allah is just, he created freedom. He saw there's a direction to freedom. He knew that there is a path you could go, that your freedom could take you down, that you're not going to like very much. But you're going to love every decision you made if you choose this one. And that is Sirat al-Mustaqim. And so he gave us the gift of Sirat al-Mustaqim. And Sirat al-Mustaqim is Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Wa Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jafar. See, there were two guys, all right? Two travelers, they were walking together and they were going to have some bread, right? One man had 3 loaves of bread. Two travelers each had bread. Okay. I'm sorry. I want to tell you stories to show you how smart our Ahlul Bayt were, right? Like I said, Hazrat Ali knew everything. We say, oh, yeah, he gave Hidayat, but he didn't understand. He knew about electricity. He knew about the World Wide Web. He knew about cars, right? He knew about Netflix. He knew about everything, right? But he still chose to ride a horse, even though he could probably go fashion himself a Ford Mustang, right? But he said, I'm going to ride a horse instead. I'd rather ride a steed than on this thing, right? And so Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, he's a master mathematician too. Like I said, he had a sense of humor, right? He was a master mathematician. People would come to him with inheritance problems, and like that, he would solve them, right? He didn't go to DeVry, he didn't go to Kumon, right? He knew math because he was above math, right? And the way he handled people, the way he talked to people, he never made it seem like, yo, I'm smarter than you, because I know algebra and calculus, and you can barely count 2 + 2, right? That's not what Hazrat Ali did, right? These men, travelers, right? On their way to destination, they had some bread, right? One of the men had 5 loaves of bread. The other man had 3 loaves of bread. And there was a third traveler who was passing by and he wanted to eat with the men, right? So they cut the bread into 3 pieces, each loaf of bread into 3 pieces, and each man ate bread, right? They ate bread to their heart's content, right? They all finished it, right? The guy got up and the guy bounced and he's like, oh, here, threw some dirhams at him, right? 8 dirhams, and he bounced, right? So now these 2 men are arguing. One guy's like, hey, we each put all of our bread and he paid both of us, so I should get 4 and you get 4. And the other guy's like, oh, no, man, I get 5 and you get 3. I had 5 loaves, you had 3 loaves, right? I mean, 2 loaves, right? You had 5 loaves and you had 5 loaves and you had 3 loaves, right? So 8 dinars, I get 5, you get 3. He said, no, he paid both of us 4 and 4. So I went to Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, explained what goes on. Hey, we're walking. I packed light. I took 3 loaves. This guy, he knew we were going to get hungry. He brought 5 loaves, but what difference does it make? We both brought all the food we had and put it in. This third guy came and he ate the bread and cut into 3. We all ate. He gave 8 dirhams. This guy's only giving me 3. Ali, Hazrat Ali, you tell him. So Hazrat Ali tells him, you should take 3 dirhams. He should. I said I should take 3 dirhams. He said, yeah, you should take 3 dirhams. He's like, no, I want to be fair. That's not fair. So here's what he says to him. He says, you can only have 1 dirham. You had 8 loaves between yourselves. Each loaf was broken into 3 parts. Therefore, you had 24 equal parts. Your 3 loaves made 9 parts, out of which you ate 8 portions, just leaving 1 for the third traveler. Your friend had 5 loaves, which he divided into 3, made into 15 pieces. He ate 8 pieces, gave 7 pieces to the guest. As such, the guest shared 1 part from your loaf and 7 from his friend. So you should get 1 dirham, and he should get 7. You see how Hazrat Ali played that? Perfect, right? Hey, you should take 3, right? You know, this even as I read this paragraph, I hate about it. You know, the math. If I didn't read it from text, I don't think I could piece together the math like that. But now I'm not a mathematician, right? Hazrat Ali was. Hazrat Ali was a mathematician. Hazrat Ali knew how to speak to man and to jinn. Hazrat Ali knew what was going on in the stars spinning round and round, right? One day, an astronomer came up to Hazrat Ali, and they were going to go. They were, in a war, and it was a day of battle. And an astrologist came, and he said, "Hey, you shouldn't go to war today. I'm an astrologist, and this is a very bad day." And Hazrat Ali says, "Are you kidding me? Do you know what star raises that makes camels want to fornicate? Do you know what star raises that make cats go into heat? Do you know what's under my feet?" And the guy said, "No." He said, "Under my feet. Under my feet is a chest of gold. And under that chest of gold is a serpent." And they dug, and they found a chest of gold, and underneath it they found a serpent. He said, "Your astronomy is nothing to me." Right? He burned the books, the astronomer's books. He says, "It's all fake. If I ever see you taking money to give anyone advice like that again, I'm gonna put you in jail." Right? Hazrat Ali, couldn't fool Hazrat Ali, right? He knew everything, and he was cool. It was fun to be around. People loved being around Hazrat Ali. People would say Hazrat Ali joked too much. We always think of him, a stern face, killing kafirs, right? He didn't even kill kafirs, right? He would go and he would take his sword and try to strike, and he'd stop. "What are you doing? I'm seeing if there's goodness in them. If there's goodness in them, I'm not going to kill them," right? One day, Hazrat Ali, right now, Allah's just, so he gave intelligence and knowledge, and the guidance to knowledge is the cleanser of intelligence is Prophet Muhammad, cleaning our intelligence with akhlaq. And the guide to our intelligence is the Imam, right? Guiding our thoughts and guiding our intelligence so we know what the best decisions to make are, right? Imam Hussain, one day, he's walking and he sees a lady, and she's carrying a huge bag of water on her back, and he ran, right? He was dressed, he had his cloak on, he had his hood on over it, right? He grabs the water from the lady, and he goes, and the kids ran out and they're like, "Hey, mom's home." And so he puts the bag down. He doesn't want to scare the lady. So he puts the bag down. He's like, "Well, it looks like you don't need help anymore." And he backs up, puts the water down. And "You don't have anyone to help you carry water, huh?" She's like, "No, I had a husband, but he went to war, and Hazrat Ali put him at the front lines and he died. And now it's me and these children. I don't know how we survived." And Hazrat Ali left for the day. And he came back the next day. Still in the cloak with the hood over his head, he knocks on the door. And then he opens it. "Can I help you?" He's like, "Yeah, I brought you some food. I came to help you yesterday, and I have some food. And I brought you some food." He's like, "Can I do anything to help you?" He's like, "I can knead the dough for you. I can make the bread for you. I can watch your kids for you. Whatever you want me to do, I will do for you." He doesn't say who he was. So, "Who are you?" "I'm just a helper. I just want to help you." And so they went inside. And she starts kneading the dough. She starts making the bread. She's like, "You know what?" And before that, she's like, "Watch my kids. Watch my kids. And I'm going to go make bread. And, you play with them, keep them busy. I'll be back." And, bread took a while back then. Can't be disturbed, right? She's making the bread, right? Hazrat Ali's playing with the kids. While he's playing with the kids, he starts grilling meat. And he starts feeding the kids with his hands. And every bite he's giving them, "Please forgive Ali. Please forgive Ali. Please forgive Ali," as he's feeding the little kids. You see, this is the man who Hazrat Ali was. This is who Hazrat Ali was, had knowledge beyond knowledge, knowledge of the heavens and the earth. Before he left this world, he said, ask me, ask me, ask me. Soon you won't have me. This is Hazrat Ali. He spent the final days answering people's questions because that was his job. And he had the knowledge. Spend your knowledge wisely, right? All right, now Hazrat Ali was a man who was raised with the Prophet, right? Raised with the Prophet, such a smart man, said by the Prophet, all of course he knows a thing or two, right? He knew everything. Hazrat Ali was a philosopher, he was a comedian, he was an entertainer, he was a warrior, he was he did charity and everything you revere. Hazrat Ali was the best at it. This is the best at it, greatest of all time, right? Now, how about his son? A young Imam Hussain. Somebody went up to Imam Hussain when Imam Hussain was a kid, right? People like to mess with the Imam. They'd ask Hazrat Ali, how many hairs do I have on my head? Right? Trying to ask him a question you know the answer to, right? Stuff for him. So what people did, the Imam with them, right? Hey, what hand? What am I holding behind my back? You know what I mean? How many fingers am I holding up? They would do stuff like that, right? Somebody thought they were super smart. Went up to Imam Hussain. They asked him, hey, little boy, young Imam, right? Son of Ali, he was a little boy. Asked him, what are 10 strong things? And each one is stronger than the other. So Imam Hussain looks at the man, a young Imam Hussain. He says, even stronger, among strong things is a stone. Even stronger than iron, even stronger is iron, which is used to break. I'm going to start over. Among strong things is stone. Even stronger is the iron, which is used to break stone. Even stronger is the fire, which melts iron. Even stronger is water, which extinguishes fire. Even stronger are the clouds that carry the water with them. Even stronger is the air that floats the clouds with it. Even stronger is the angel who moves the air. Even stronger is the angel who gives death to the angel that moves the air. Even stronger is the death which will come upon the angel of death. And even stronger is the order of Allah which governs the death. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Jafar. See, this is the chain, the chain of guidance, the chain of imamat, the chain of justice that Allah gave to us, the gift He gave to us. There was Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Jafar. There was a Khalifa named Mamun al-Rashid, okay? And he would go hunting. And he would come back, and would come back with the soldiers around him, right? And the kids would be playing. Imam Muhammad would be amongst these kids, right? And the kids would all flee when they saw the soldiers, and Imam Muhammad he wouldn't leave. The Khalifa asked him, he said, you don't flee like the other kids? He's like, nah, I'm not in your way. And I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm fine. I don't need to move. I know you're not going to bother me if I'm not in your way. So we asked him, so who's your father? Right? And he tells him, right? He tells him who his father is. He says, I'm the son of the Imam, right? And he understood, right? He says, I'm the son of Ali Rida, right? And the Khalifa understood who this was the son of, and so he leaves. Next day he's going hunting again, and as he was hunting, he was hunting. A hawk flew up to him, and the hawk had a fish in his hand, right? And he took the fish and a hawk flew and sat on his shoulders, and the hawk had a fish in its beak, and so he took the fish and he held it in his hand, and then he saw the kids again as they were riding, and the kids all fled everywhere, right? They fled everywhere, and then the Khalifa Mamun al-Rashid went up to Imam Muhammad again, right? And he said, hey, you're the son of the Imam, you're Ahlul Bayt, right? Now, what's in my hand? What's in my hand? And Muhammad he says, Allah has created tiny fish in the river. The hawks of the kings sometimes catch the fish from there and bring it to the kings, and the kings, they hide it in their fist and ask members of the house of the Prophet to tell me what's in my fist. This is a young boy, Imam Muhammad Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Jafar in Kufa. I forgot the name of it was one of his deeds men had asked, a grown man had asked a 2-year-old Muhammad a question, and he schooled him, right? 2 years old, right? This is the guidance that Allah sent us, because He is just, because we have intelligence, we have freedom unlimited. We have intelligence to recognize the freedom. We have choices, so we can have choices and intelligence to recognize these choices. And choices, some are better than others, and that's why freedom's not dangerous, because our existence is here to prove to prove Allah, right? And all Allah is, right? That's what we are the proof of, right? And so, because of that, freedom is not dangerous, right? And so, to make sure that, and then Allah separated from us, right? Separated Himself from us to say this is true freedom. They can't see me, right? They can feel me, but they don't understand it. And they, I'm way over here, and they're on this little planet. And He goes and He gives us freedom so we can prove it. And He made sure the freedom's unlimited. He made sure that the scales were even tipped in the favor of maybe making another choice, just to make sure that nobody could say that, hey, you didn't give them true freedom, so they're not a true proof, right? And then to make sure that people wanted to choose the right path, He sent knowledge in the form of Hidayat, knowledge in the form of the Quran, knowledge in the form of our 12 Imams. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat Allah, Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. And look at the intelligence, look at the greatness of these Imams, right? Their story, like I said, Hazrat Ali knew about electricity. He knew about the World Wide Web, right? He knew about Teslas, right? He knew about the Burj Khalifa. He knew everything. You don't ask what Hazrat Ali knew. You say, what doesn't Hazrat Ali know? And the only thing Hazrat Ali doesn't know is that which only Allah knows, because everything Allah is uncreated, even His knowledge. So no one can ever know what Allah knows. But Hazrat Ali knows everything, and Allah knows more than Hazrat Ali, because Allah is the Lord of Hazrat Ali. And if that is the God of Hazrat Ali, then that is the God that I want to be. Bar Muhammad wa, and I want to be for me. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. So Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, he said, each one of you must prepare your weapons for the advent of the Qayyum, peace be on him, even if it be as little as an arrow, because when Allah the High knows that a person has this intention with him, He will give him a longer life, right? When you're waiting for your Imam, you must prepare your weapon as if you're going to stand with him. And if Allah knows that what you are doing is sincere, Allah will extend your life, right? This was Imam Jafar as-Sadiq said, right? Imam Jafar as-Sadiq said this. And so, we should do that to wait for our living Imam. Imam Ali said was Imam Ali. Hazrat Ali did that. Obviously, he didn't have an Imam, but he knew what was going to happen in Karbala. And so he also knew his life wouldn't extend that far. How? Prophet Muhammad told everybody. He told her to be Fatima when she asked who will be there. Will Ali be there? He said no. Will Hassan be there? He said no. Will I be there? The Prophet Muhammad said no. Who will be there for my son? Allah will create a nation that will never stop crying for him. We are the nation of Hussain. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma sallallahu wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. So Imam Hussain knew that Imam Hassan wouldn't be there. He knew that this was after the death of Bibi Fatima. He was pondering this, right? He knew what was going to happen in Karbala. He knew that Imam Hassan wouldn't be there anymore. And he knew that it was time for him to marry again. Yes, he was grieving his wife, but that's why Allah created Eid Zara. Sometimes you got to move on, right? Hazrat Ali never moved on. He cried for Bibi Fatima till the day she died. But it was time for him to find another bride. Even if there was to be a stepmother to his children, he needed he needed a strong woman. He told his brother Akil, he was a man who would set up people's nuptials. He would introduce them to people and set up their marriages, right? He said, I want a woman who will give me sons that will be there for Hussein. He made the intention. Instead of an arrow, he prepared children to stand and represent him on the day of Karbala. And because of that, Allah gave him 10 sons. He had more sons than anyone that died in Karbala. Hazrat Ali did, right? Hazrat Ali did. And we're 2 Imams later, and Hazrat Ali had more sons than died in Karbala than anybody did. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu. Allahumma sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajal farajum. He had more sons than anybody did. And, Imam Hassan prepared too. Imam Hassan prepared for Karbala too, right? He wrote a letter. For Janabi Qasim, because he knew that on this day On this day, see, I don't think about it, that Janabi Qasim never felt like an orphan. He had his uncle with him, he had his aunts with him, he had his cousins. They loved him so much, he never felt like an orphan until the day of Karbala, when he had nobody to go and talk to Imam Hussain and say, hey, please let my son fight jihad, right? He probably that day felt like an orphan. He probably that day wished his father was around. Talk to your brother, the Imam, and let him know that I want to go and give my life in the land of Karbala. What Imam Hussain Hassan, he had made plans, didn't he? Right? Didn't he? He had a taviz. He had a taviz that he gave it to Farwa. And he said that on the day of Ashura, he didn't say on the day of Ashura, he said, one day our son is going to need, he's going to be in a situation that he can't solve. Give this to him on that day. And I was thinking about it today. That's probably one of the few things that made Imam Hussain smile on the day of Ashura, was when he opened that letter and he saw the handwriting of his brother Hassan on the day of Karbala, when he wasn't expecting it. He least expected. He opens a letter and he sees the writing of his brother Hassan. He loved his brother Hassan so much. For Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajhu farajum. See Janabi Qasim. He was the son of Imam Hussain. He was the grandson of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Today I want to tell you about the two brothers, Qasim and Abdullah. You see, Qasim was chosen by Hassan. He was going to be the one to represent him on the land of Karbala and the blazing sun. He knew his brother Hussein would do everything to keep his orphan son safe after he was slain. So he wrote a letter to his brother and he trusted it to his wife. In this letter, he offered his little son Qasim's life. He knew this would be the day of sacrifice to save Islam. So our second Imam, he gave the letter to Farwa, Qasim's mom. It had been over 10 years since Imam Hassan had been poisoned. His representative in Karbala were these two boys and one son named Abdullah. He had a brother older than him, the beautiful young man we call Janabi Qasim. After his uncle gave him permission to defend Islam, after all of his cousins, all of his uncles were going to watch him, Farwa, she helped him get him ready. His father Hassan's abaya and his black turban on his head. When he walked out of the tent, Zainab, Kulthum, Abbas, and Hussein couldn't believe what they saw. He looked just like Imam Hassan, a perfect boy, without a flaw. He rode out and he stood and he called out to the army, I am Qasim, the son of Hassan. For those who do not know me, I stand by my uncle Hussein. Anybody approaches me, the grandson of the line of God, he will be slain. The boy is so handsome, even the mercenaries were in awe. This was one of the most beautiful sights any of them had ever saw. Janabi Qasim, he was not scared at all. To duel him was a legendary warrior, Azrak Shami, standing big and tall. As he tried to attack the nimble young boy who would best him with his agility, he wanted to show his uncle Abbas his swordsmanship ability. He told the warrior that the weight on his shoulders was too heavy, that Qasim was lighter than a feather. See, Azrak was a world-renowned soldier, but Janabi Qasim, he was better. Hazrat Abbas watched as his nephew, who was clearly going to win the duel. He said to Qasim, you're hot and thirsty. Stop toying with this man, Qasim. You know what to do. Then with one strike of his sword, the son of Hassan cut Azrak into two. The surrounding warriors knew what time it was about to be. This boy was about to destroy the entire army. They dishonored the rules of Arab warfare and they surrounded this boy from everywhere. His horse was wounded. Janabi Qasim got off the horse's back. He was royalty, the majesty. He would not fight barefooted. So he bent down to adjust his shoe strap. Hazrat Abbas, who had ridden close to see the duel, to see the fight, had heard the commotion and turned back. See, he was writing to Imam Hussain to tell him what had happened in the duel with Azrak. Hazrat Abbas all Hazrat Abbas could see was a cloud of dust and the sounds of war. Janabi Qasim couldn't be seen anymore. There were at least 30 grown soldiers and this boy of 13, one of the most tragic battles anyone had ever seen. They had begun to cut Janabi Qasim into pieces, his arms, his legs, his face bloodied with bruises. He called out for his uncle. On one side, Abbas, on the other side, Hussein. The soldiers were so scared, they almost went insane. The cowards who started to butcher the boy knew that the two charging brothers could not be destroyed. As the cowards started to scatter and flee, they trampled Janab Qasim's bloody body. Imam Hussain was wearing an abaya too, and that's where he started to gather the limbs and the body pieces of his deceased nephew. The other brother, Abdullah, the representative of Hassan, how could he be permission to go for jihad after the tragedy that the death of Janab Qasim had become? There was no way Imam would give him permission to fight. But Allah is the decider. It is his story to write. Although Bibi Zainab held this boy's hand to keep him safe, at the end of the day, he ran to keep his uncle Hussein safe. And just as his father Hassan, just as he had done in years past, the young boy Abdullah, he died in Imam Hussein's lap. For Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Hai hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai hai Qasim, hai Qasim.
قیدی بن کر پابند رسل لاشوں سے جو گزرے اہل حرم، ہر بی بی اپنے پیاروں سے ہوتی تھی ودا کر کے ماتم. ایک بی بی فاطمہ بنت حسن پامال بدن قاسم کی بہن، کسی ایک جا سے رخصت نہ ہوئی، کسی ایک جا سے رخصت نہ ہوئی، ٹکڑوں میں جو تھا بھائی کا بدن.
کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم.
تیری بھیڑ غریب نو نہیں بھولنا، تیری بھیڑ غریب نو نہیں بھولنا، تیرے قتل دا منظر ہے قاسم.
ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم، کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم.
کبھی صحرا دیکھ کے روتی تھی، کبھی غش کھا کے گر جاتی تھی.
کبھی صحرا دیکھ کے روتی تھی، کبھی غش کھا کے گر جاتی تھی.
پامال ہوا تھا بھائی جہاں،
پامال ہوا تھا بھائی جہاں،
اس خون پہ گر کر ہے قاسم.
ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم.
وچ رسیاں دے پابند ہوئی، نئی بھیڑ غریب دوس کوئی.
وچ رسیاں دے پابند ہوئی، نئی بھیڑ غریب دوس کوئی.
ہوندے ہاتھ آزاد تے مر جاندی،
ہوندے ہاتھ آزاد تے مر جاندی.
تیرا ماتم کر کر ہے قاسم.
ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم، کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم.
کس شان سے تم دولات بنے، کس شان سے تھی بارات چلی.
کس شان سے تم دولہات بنے، کس شان سے تھی بارات چلی.
بیٹھی رہی دلہن حجرے میں،
بیٹھی رہی دلہن حجرے میں،
آئے نہ پلٹ کر ہے قاسم.
ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم.
تینو نال دعاواں ماں اجڑی، میدان دے پاسے ٹوریا سی.
تینو نال دعاواں ماں اجڑی، میدان دے پاسے ٹوریا سی.
اودی محنت کر پامال گیا،
اودی محنت کر پامال گیا.
9 لاکھ دا لشکر ہے قاسم.
ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم
فروان کہا بیٹا قاسم کہہ دینا دادی زہرا سے
فروان کہا بیٹا قاسم کہہ دینا دادی زہرا سے
غربت کی کمائی ٹکڑوں میں
غربت کی کمائی ٹکڑوں میں
بھیجی ہے سجا کر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم
سنوراس نائی کر وہ بلا تو باج کفن میں باجردہ
سنوراس نائی کر وہ بلا تو باج کفر میں باجردہ
تیرے قتل دے بعد لینا نے
تیرے قتل دے بعد لینا نے
مڈی لٹ لئی چادر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم
اٹھ قاسم دیکھ تیری دلہن تیری لاش پہ رونے آئی ہے
اٹھ قاسم دیکھ تیری دلہن تیری لاش پہ رونے آئی ہے
اے کاش یہ شادی راس آتی
اے کاش یہ شادی راس آتی
بس جاتا تیرا گھر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم
ہویا ٹکڑے ٹکڑے نال زہر مڈ باب حسن دا پاک جگر
ہویا ٹکڑے ٹکڑے نال زہر میرے باب حسن دا پاک جگر
ہوئی ٹکڑے ٹکڑے وچ مقتل
ہوئی ٹکڑے ٹکڑے وچ مقتل
تیری لاش برادر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم
ہر سات محرم کو مہندی تیری یاد میں قاسم اٹھتی ہے
ہر سات محرم کو مہندی تیری یاد میں قاسم اٹھتی ہے
دولہا دولہا قاسم دولہا
دولہا دولہا قاسم دولہا
ہوتا ہے لبوں پر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم
نہیں رک سکتی لاچاری ہے سنگ پھپیاں نال تیاری ہے
نہیں رک سکتی لاچاری ہے سنگ پھپیاں نال تیاری ہے
اٹھ آخری باری گل لا کے
اٹھ آخری باری گل لا کے
اجڑی نو ودا کر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم کدی اس ٹکڑے تے ہے قاسم
جواد ریحان تے سرور نو نہیں بھولنے وین اس بی بی دے
جواد ریحان تے سرور نو نہیں بھولنے وین اس بی بی دے
جندے صدقے اج بھی جاری ہے
جندے صدقے اج بھی جاری ہے
تیرا ماتم گھر گھر ہے قاسم
ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم ہے قاسم कासिम है कासिम